that was a train wreck of a game. I mean, it ended up being exciting at the end, but nobody wants a game decided on a penalties. And it really did feel, Perloff, even by the letter of the law, if Joseph Osai did push Patrick Mahomes, it did lead to an unnecessary roughness, and it should have been 15 yards. But oh, wait a minute. There was a holding call on that play. It should have been offsetting. I think everyone and their mom thought that was going to overtime.
Of course we did, but I don't like people who said you shouldn't call that because of the setting. If it was very clearly a late hit. Now, I'm not even talking about the holding call, but the late hit.
Yeah. No, you have to call it.
I don't think you can swallow the flag on that. It was, and I feel so bad for that kid.
Yeah. He
had an amazing game. He was all over Patrick Mahomes all game, but you have to call it. So if you're going to yell at the officiating, don't yell at them for that play. There's a lot to yell at them about, but to me, I don't think that determined the outcome of the game.
It felt like every time either the Chiefs or maybe the Bengals were going to start to get a little momentum or something, it was a major penalty call that ended up sort of either taking things away or just completely tying the game in knots. And I've never in my life, maybe you guys can correct me, we've all been watching football for a really long time, I've never in my life seen a redo like I saw on the 3rd and 9. And listen, maybe you could say, well, there were no points that were scored off the Chiefs getting a redo on a very important 3rd down in the second half. Yet I still think it impacts the game because, as we know now, 2nd and 9, ball goes incomplete to Jerick McKinnon, and then it's 3rd and 9, and the clock gets stopped so that they can move the football up basically like a half a yard. Then there's a little discrepancy on when the play should have started again. Was it on the referee's whistle, on his signal, or was it going to be on the snap? They play the 3rd down. It ends up being a sack, but the referee, the down referee, sort of half-hearted kind of waves, or I'm sorry, it was a connection to Kelsey, but it was short of the sticks. Connection to Kelsey's short of the sticks. The official kind of waves, but doesn't really sell the call. So the Chiefs don't get the 1st down. The offense runs off the field, and the punt team comes on Perloff, and then the referees get together and they redo the play. I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, you're totally right. I've never seen it either, but is there a little too much complaining about the officials coming from the Cincinnati side? Now, I get it. I'd be in the exact same way. But generally, you don't lose games to the officials. Yes, you have Drew Brees and that pass interference play against the Rams at 28.
Game, yeah.
I don't think this game was that. I think this game came down to the very, very end, and it was always going to come down to the end. And there are a lot of weird calls. I totally understand. But I can't say the Bengals lost that game because of the officials. I just can't do it.
I mean, I feel like I could make a case. I mean, and I think I could make a pretty compelling case.
So what's the strength of your case?
The strength of my case is that they should have never redone that 3rd down play. That, to me, is like an official error. And I know you want to get it right and by the letter of the law, but you just gifted Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs a redo on a 3rd down play. I think at that point, the referee is to just be like, I didn't sell the call enough. I wasn't able to get in there to really blow the play dead. Instead, I let the play happen. And then as the punt team's running on the field and we huddle up together, then I realize, that things were gone awry.
But there is some precedent here. When the defense jumps off sides, most often Aaron Rodgers famously gets a free play.
Yeah.
But sometimes they blow the play dead. So there's some discretion about, are we going to blow the play dead? Because sometimes it can be dangerous to blow the play dead in the middle when guys start to play. So one guy might hear the whistle and stop. So this isn't the most outrageous officiating thing that's ever happened. Yes, redoing the play was weird. But honestly, if the guy was running like this and somebody saw him, by the way, doing this, that helped on radio. If the guy was waving his arm, did one wave. What if one player saw that and stopped and got decked by the other player? It was a mess, and they screwed it up from the beginning. But that didn't determine the outcome of the game. Honestly, the Bengals had a couple last shots. Chiefs had their last shots. They hit a very, very hard field goal. What if the field goal misses, which almost happened? The wind almost caught that, and the Bengals win in overtime. Then nobody's complaining about the officials saying that they determined the outcome of the game.
No, maybe not. And I don't even know who you could say made the case that they should have won that game. It was so evenly matched in different spots, but I gotta say, it did feel like the Bengals were starting to grab a little momentum when they stopped the Chiefs on third down, and it's like, all right, you got off the field, you're gonna give the ball back to Burrow. I don't know what he would have done with it, but it just felt like maybe that was the moment where Cincinnati takes hold. We know they've been a fourth quarter team, and then they get called for the defensive pass interference, right? The Eli Apple on the next third down, and the defense has to be out there for several more plays, more time goes off the clock. Yep. I mean, all of it changes the game.
I agree.
Even if no points were scored.
I agree. But which was more egregious, the NFC title game and the mistakes that were made in that game, or the AFC title game? But nobody's saying the Niners lost. Well, not many people are saying they lost because of officiating, because it was a blowout. So I think the Niners fans also have a case, but in the end, in the long run, you know there's going to be bad calls either way. And in the long run, officiating is rarely going to determine the outcome. I think you could argue the right teams came out of both conferences.
I wonder for the audience, what the final play where Osai pushes Patrick Mahomes out of bounds, do you have a problem with the officials calling that at that moment? Because we all say we don't like it when the officials determine the outcome of the game. Yes, Bucker could have missed the 45-yarder, but he most likely was not hitting the 60-yarder. I mean, Jay Feely,
I don't know why.
Maybe not. Jay Feely said he was missing 55-yarders in that directions in warm-ups. That's not a given, but
he should have. If the distance he had on that kick made me think Andy Reid should have kicked it earlier when he had a 54-yard attempt or 55 and decided to punt.
Yeah.
Because he had plenty of leg. It just, the wind was moving everything. You could see the flags were going crazy. So, yeah, that was no give me that he hit that. There was a lot that happened in that game. Honestly, I think the Bengals had their shots. Can we agree? I agree with you. I thought Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator, had the Chiefs figured out. The Chiefs were not really the Chiefs. They looked much slower. They had opportunities in the first half. The second half, it dried up. I thought there was a moment where it was going to become Burrowhead. I was with everybody else. I'm like, oh, here we go again, Joe Burrow. But credit, Chris Jones pulled an Aaron Donald from last year's Super Bowl.
He did.
And just put the team on his back and said, I'm going to kill the quarterback. And I think so in that way, the Chiefs earned it. And the Bengals kind of blew it, although I don't even see it as a blowout game because it was so close on the road. They were impressive. They're an impressive team. They're going to be back. But I think it's a cop-out to blame the refs for this.
Yeah, I don't. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I would have called the unnecessary roughness on Osai. I think you had to do that.
Yep.
You feel terrible for the guys. He's crying on the sideline. And the reason why you feel terrible for him is because he had such a good game. Even on that drive and on the first down play, he was all over Mahomes. Like, he was having the game of his life, maybe.
Big time.
22 years old, went to Texas, right? Like, he's having the game of his life. And then he's now going to be remembered like D Ford is remembered for, his playoff blunder.
Both those guys. Well, D Ford made a lot of money, and Osai will make a lot of money, which is okay. I felt a little better about this whole situation. I immediately, like everyone else, tell me about this Osai guy. Second year, heck of a game.
Football in front
He's
of him.
going to get a $50 million contract, so this is not going to define his career. If it was a guy who was on the fringe and really only made $3 million in his career, and that was it, I would feel even worse.
So the Bengals, though, with 2:30 left to go in this game, had the ball. Now, an all-time, I never thought it would happen moment is Andy Reid punting the ball from the Cincinnati
38,
38. I know it was a 4th and 8.
Yeah.
I just never thought I'd see the day. I was like, here comes the best play that Andy Reid's ever designed in his whole life to try to get first down. Instead, they punt it. They pin the Bengals in to the 6-yard line, and Burrow couldn't get over the 33, his own 33.
Well, at least he had that 3rd and long to Hayden Hurst.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
an unbelievable play.
Yep.
I think the Eagles have a coaching advantage 2 weeks from Sunday.
You already want to do Super Bowl breakdown?
I'm not doing Super Bowl, but I think Andy Reid, you could see, Andy Reid is no late game master, Maggie. I know he's one of the great coaches of all time.
That one worked out for him.
That worked out, but you cannot have felt totally confident. There is one coach in the league who is making the best decisions on 4th down, and his name is Nick Sirianni, and his coordinators are on fire right now. So that Andy Reid late game thing, I've seen it a million times. I'm telling you right now, I did not have confidence in Andy in the last 2 minutes. And believe it or not, I have confidence in Nick Sirianni, something I never thought I'd say.
All right. I'm not going to throw cold water on Perloff's big victory lap here. First off, we got a long way to go. We got 2 weeks. We got a lot of back and forth to go on with the Eagles. Can I just make one point about the Eagles coaching staff for how incredible they are, and they really are good, in a close game? Can we get a close game? Can we get a game that
Hopefully
means
not.
something in the playoffs where they're not up by 2 touchdowns and basically they have to sit on a lead, or like the Giants game was over in the first quarter? I just want to see this crew, these geniuses. Can I just see them in a close game?
Okay.
Can I see them in a 1-score game in a playoff
I'm telling
game?
you, it's like the Spider-Man meme, 2 Spider-Man. Andy Reid has no interest in this close game either. This is going to be who can make the worst decision in the last 3 minutes. You're right, Andy Reid's punt worked out, but at the time, like you, I said, Andy, you're going to really be mad at yourself if the Bengals come down and score here.
Yeah, early cheeseburgers was what I was thinking. But instead, they're going on to the Super Bowl, as are we, by the way. We're going to be in Phoenix. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with early cheeseburgers, by the way. I think we're all 4 o'clock. Cheeseburger time.
Yeah, on this show, for sure.
Yeah.